Hope you guys can hear me. The fan ain't too loud, but I hope you guys can hear me. But anyways, yeah, we have this whole talk of players, shoot, during Jordan's era and further back. We have this whole notion, this whole narrative out here that those guys were nothing but plumbers and firemen and bus drivers and whatever, right? That the youth younger than me, they act like these guys back then were slow, not athletic, not quick, none of this. For some reason, people act like 48 inch vertical, 49-inch vertical, 50-inch vertical, wherever, how high they jump. They act like this is a new phenomenon that just happened in the last 20 years when there's records dating back to, shoot, who knows when, of humans at peak conditions athletically. Everybody just forget, like, before the creation of the NBA, you had the NFL. NFL dates back to almost the 20s. You had MLB baseball dating back to the 20s. They act like people are slow back then. People forget about Jesse Owens. Jesse Owens is like the 30s. So I don't know where this is coming from. I don't understand. But anyways, going back to the 70s, before Jordan was around, well, he was already around, but before Jordan became known to the world, there was David Thompson, and there was people like Julius Erving and many others. Shoot, go back before there was even Bill Russell, who was on the track and field team. I think he was a long jumper. It might not be correct. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. Even Will Chamberlain. These people were athletic as hell. Shoot, here's how I know people are on some BS when it comes to this. Even in my own family, my grandfather, rest in peace to him, was a track star in the 40s and 50s. Track star and a football star in Milwaukee. Had scholarships. Didn't do it because I guess he didn't want, the story goes, I guess he didn't want to deal with some of the racism that was going on. But from what I heard, he's fast as hell. So once again, I don't know where this is coming from. These guys, these young kids act like these guys, athleticism and jumping high and fast is something of 20 years ago. But David Thompson, man, I'm sure you guys, some of you guys saw that picture of him jumping. Now, I was trying to figure out David Thompson, how high was his vertical, because I think they measured in different ways. But I think in total his vertical was like 48 inches. It was 48 inches. Well, let me take you. Let me school some of the young kids on David Thompson. Let me take you through his bio very quickly. Let me teach you guys some history of the NBA. Something you guys don't do. So David Thompson, born in Shelby, North Carolina, July 13, 1954. He went to Crest Senior High School. Played on the varsity team for 4 years. And then he got a scholarship to North Carolina State. I was about to say University of North Carolina. North Carolina State. But before that, I didn't know this. I guess he's the first coach, the first cousin of Alvin Gentry, the former coach. I guess both of them grew up in North Carolina. But David Thompson, in his first year, led the North Carolina State University Wolfpack to a 27-0 season. But I guess they got banned. Because of the recruiting of David Thompson. And then the next year, he led the Wolfpack to a 30-1 season and led them to an NCAA Men's Division I Basketball Championship in 1974, winning it all. Defeated defeated UCLA in a double overtime game, and defeated my second team You know what? Marquette is actually, I don't know what Marquette. Marquette is my first team. But I go for both Wisconsin and Marquette. But Marquette is closer to home because I grew up in Milwaukee. So, anyways, they beat Marquette in a 76-64 victory. And in that game, coming from his college days, I should say, hence the name Skywalker. David Skywalker Thompson. They ain't call him Skywalker for nothing. Moving on. And supposedly, the alley-oop pass above the rim and all that stuff, all them wordings was actually invented during his time in North Carolina State, because he was probably one of the first to actually jump like that at his height, because he stood at 6'4", 195 pounds, jumping out of the gym. So this is something I did not know, because college basketball, I ain't gonna. Some college basketball history is kind of faint to me, but I guess North Carolina State game against the nationally fourth-ranked University of Maryland Terrapins in the 1974 ACC tournament final. I guess this is new to me. I didn't know this. In the era in which only conference championships were invited to the NCAA tournament, and I guess it's considered one of the best games of all time, because the Wolfpack won in the overtime game 103-100, along with his teammate Tommy Burleson, because the Wolfpack was the number one ranked. In a game where no shot clock, no three-point field goal was made. Maryland shot 63% for the field for the game, and lost. And David Thompson will win another. Wait. This is the same year, sorry. They would win the same NCAA championship that year. So, I think everybody thinks this, but according to a lot, and fans of ACC schools, I think I could give it a little bit too many C's, but fans of the ACC school, David Thompson is considered one of the greatest players in that conference history, along with the GOAT himself, Michael Jordan, Ralph Sampson, and of course the GOAT power forward all the time, Tim Duncan, Christian Laettner, and Tyler Hansbrough. Whatever happened with his career? Wow. But also remember this too. During the 70s, particularly from 1967 to 1977, for about 10 years, they had the Lou Cinder rule. Can't dunk. You couldn't dunk in college because they barred Kareem Abdul-Jabbar from dunking at the time. He was known as Lou Cinder. But he couldn't dunk. They couldn't do too much dunking, which I think was stupid, but it was kind of seen as showing up the players or showing up everybody when you dunk. Plus, also, I'm not even going to go there with that one. No, I'm not going to go there with that one. But David Thompson will get his first dunk in 1975, playing in his final home game at NC State against UNC Charlotte, because in the second half, on a breakaway, he got a pass and resulted in the first and only dunk in his college career, a goal that was promptly disallowed by a technical foul. Like I said, that whole no dunk thing is stupid, but I think there's some other things going on behind it. I can see where showboating can be a problem. I also see it as something else. Something else I want to say on this mic. David Thompson's number 44 remains the lone number retired at that school, because I don't think there's anybody big came from that school since then. But for his 3 years at NC State, he averaged 24 points, 8 rebounds. His sophomore year, 26 points, 7 rebounds, and 29 points in his last year, and also 8 rebounds, shooting 50%, pretty much averaging 50% from the field. He was drafted at number 1 in 1975. Drafted number 1 in both the ABA and NBA, because remember the ABA is going on around this time. He was drafted to the Virginia Squires from the ABA and drafted to the Atlanta Hawks. Eventually, he signed with the Denver Nuggets, who was still in the ABA. He did finish runner-up to another Skywalker, hence Julius Erving, the first ever slam dunk competition held at the 1976 ABA All-Star Game in Denver. But he was also named the MVP of the ABA All-Star Game. His prize, he received a TV. Anyways, in his first season with the Nuggets finished 16-24, beating the Kentucky Colonels in a Hall-Fought 7-game series to advance to the 1976 Finals. In this Finals, he faced that same Skywalker again in Julius Erving. Julius Erving was still in the NBA on the New York Nets. And they didn't win. They lost 4-2 in that series. But David Thompson himself averaged 28.3 points a game and 6 rebounds in that 4-2 series loss. And they almost won due to his heroic effort of 42 points, leading all scores, and that Game 6 loss on 112-106. But David Thompson, in his rookie year, going to the finals, ABA finals, and getting Rookie of the Year, and getting the All-Star Game MVP. And then all of a sudden, the ABA and the NBA merged. David Thompson went on to play in the All-Star Game 4 times. He is noted for scoring 73 points against the Detroit Pistons in an effort to win the NBA scoring title, which he lost by half a point, 0.1 points per game to George Gervin, who was on the San Antonio Spurs, who scored 63 points in a game later that day. At the time, David Thompson signed a record contract extension that paid him $4 million over 5 years after the 1977-78 season. It's crazy, but he missed the rest of the next season, 36 games. Actually, he missed the 1979-80 season because of a foot injury, but he did return to average 25 points a game in 77 games the next season. Then he went on to go play with the Seattle Supersonics for 2 years. His numbers dipped going on to there. He did get back to the All-Star game, averaging 15 points, 3 rebounds, and 3 assists, which is low from where his time was in Denver in the ABA and NBA. But what forced him out of him, 2 things that forced him out of the NBA, because he probably could have kept playing a little bit longer. The 1983-84 season, he missed. But also, he missed because of injuries. Knee injuries, foot injuries. But what led to probably something worse than the knee and foot injuries was his substance abuse. I guess this stems from his foot injury in 1979. Quoted by him, the reason why he fell into substance abuse was because of loneliness and isolation. And he had to actually eventually check himself to a Denver rehabilitation facility. I was trying not to say it like Paulie from freaking Sopranos, but anyways. The reason why he had a career-ending 1984 knee injury, I guess he got into a fight in Studio 54. The reason why his knee hurt. He got into a stairwell fight at Studio 54. Some of you old heads might remember Studio 54. It was the prime time club to be in back in the day. They don't have anything like that these days. He tried to try out for the Indiana Pacers in 1985, but he was arrested for public intoxication. And I'm not gonna. Gee whiz. I don't want to report that, but I guess he got into a little white addiction and spent $1,000. I guess I did report it. Spent $1,000 on that white, and he was sentenced to jail for 180 days in 1987 due to domestic dispute, but eventually changed his life around, became a Christian. And his post-playing career, he was with the community relations department with the Charlotte Hornets. Completed his degree in sociology at North Carolina State. Wrote a book. So yeah, it's sad how the way his career ended, because just from reading that, he sounded like if he was actually on a good team, he could have actually won a few chips. But by himself, just being on Denver, you look at his point averages when he was on Denver in the ABA and NBA days, up until the injury started happening, he was averaging 26, 25, 27 one year, 24, 21, 25 points a game. He was a rebounder somewhat, an average rebounder for his height, 6'4". He was still getting 6 rebounds, 5 rebounds a game. Shooting 50% from the field for his career. And yes, he probably could have played even longer. In the playoffs, he was he repeated the same production in the playoffs, averaging 25, 28, 24 points per game. So he was a real dog. And I'm not even going to go through all his college awards. He has so many, it's not even funny. I'm just reading them all right here. Led the Wolfpack to a 79-7 record during his final 3 seasons, including 57-1 during his sophomore and junior seasons. His senior year is 22-6, and remember they also didn't play freshmen back then too, so that's equally amazing right there in itself. Scored 2,309 points in 86 varsity games, including career highs of 57 points as a senior, 41 as a junior, and 40 as a sophomore. Averaged 35 points, including a 54-point high on North Carolina State freshman team. World University Games MVP in 1973. He is enshrined in the North Carolina Sports Hall of Fame in 1982, part of the NCAA All-Decade Team of the 1970s, named to the ACC's 50th anniversary men's basketball team as one of the 50 greatest players in ACC history. I wonder who's number 1 in that. There's some of his ABA NBA highlights. He is the Rookie of the Year in 1976. Sporting News ABA Rookie of the Year, All NBA 1976 MVP, and the All-Star Game in the ABA All First Team 2 times, 4-time All-Star in the NBA. He was also, not only was he an MVP in the ABA All-Star Game, he was also an MVP in the 1979 NBA All-Star. Only player in NBA history named MVP in both the ABA and NBA, scored 73 points against Detroit, which I talked about earlier. Then he scored a NBA record 32 points in the second quarter against the Detroit Pistons, a record that was broken by George German, who scored 33 against the New Orleans Jazz that same day. So all this happened on the same day, and that's crazy. Number 33 is retired with the Denver Nuggets. He's also Colorado's Professional Athlete of the Year in 1977. Scored 2,000 points, over 2,000 points, averaging 26 in the ABA. Scored 11,000 points in the NBA. I wonder if they combined that. Yeah, they did combine that. His combined points equals to 22 points a game, 4 rebounds and 3 assists for his ABA and NBA career. ACC Player of the Year 3 times. First team ACC 3 times. He also won the NCAA Final Four Most Outstanding Player when he won it all. National College Player of the Year, if I didn't say that before. I said all the NBA stuff. So, yeah, this guy was the real deal. It's unfortunate that his career bottomed out in the way it did, because of he was able to get himself healthy and stay away from the substance. He probably could have been one of the best shooting guards. He did play shooting guard. He's probably one of the best shooting guards. Well, I still think in his short time, he's probably one of the, if he wanted to expand it past top 10 shooting guards, he wanted to expand it to top 20 maybe top 30, he's probably among that. But I think if he would have had all the injuries and other stuff, he probably could have been almost a top 10 shooting guard of all time if it wasn't for that. But we ain't gonna sit here and act like this man couldn't jump out of the building. This man can jump out of the building. I was looking at the pictures, some of his highlights. It is crazy. But that's one of the Skywalkers right there. David Skywalker Thompson, Hall of Famer as well. We ain't gonna forget that. Naismith Hall of Famer and college basketball Hall of Famer.